So I'm just a young stupid dog, and this was the true. I think we called it third step. Step three, no, third step. Third step. The Florida Odyssey takes third step. Listen, the man, he was at his radiant, most charming self, almost at 60 years of age. And all these women around there, they were, giving the man a lot of flirtatious there. The other thing, if, but besides the fact to which they were all old ladies. So the man was like, hey, I don't know if I can, it's all right if I'm getting a lot of attention, but I don't need to get with some old lady. Even though he was an old man, he was like, old men do not get with old ladies. Maybe some of the middle-aged or younger men get with old ladies. I am an established man. I need to get a young lady. Everybody's like, the man, this is Florida, but this ain't the land of the lost. You ain't getting no young lady. You better just be hopeful you get anything, whatever. Some 75-year-old lady. He's like, the man's like, I'm 60 years old. You think I'm going to? But anyways, it turns out that because, and this is the third step, okay, the man had gone to visit his cousins, and his cousins were, real estate poor. They had pure, beautiful, choice property, but the taxes were so high, their meager existences didn't really quantify or delude into the payment of those kind of taxes. So they were like going starving. They were planting gardens. They were eating apples and pears off the trees. Okay? They were trying to pick a few extra apples in the fall to get them through the winter, and they were going down to the ocean and getting some crustaceans. They were licking some slime off the rocks. These guys were not cash poor. They were real estate deprivation. They had real estate deprivation. The real estate was so valuable, so beautiful, right on the ocean, just like 30 minutes south of Miami, in this really enclave, enclave. It wasn't where this one or that one came to be after the other ones who were already there. This was a situation where all them people that were there in the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s and 2010s, somewhere there was a big displacement due to hurricanes. We had a big displacement, but like 26, 23, 22 miles. It's like at 24, 26, 28 moments, minutes in your beautiful car. If you travel at the right times, it could take an hour and a half, but certainly you could do it at the right times in 23, 22, 19 minutes, 17 minutes. And then you would be, what I'm saying? Anyways, what had happened was, due to a kind of not necessarily anything to do with race or economy, but chronological order, all these old white people were phasing out the ownership of the prime real estate southerly of Miami, right along the ocean, because they couldn't afford to pay those taxes. So it was having a degentrification, and a lot of minorities that were successful, black, though they may be, Mexican, dark skinned, dark eyed, dark eyelashed, dark eyebrowed, dark haired, dark skin, dark pigmentations. Not with the big white schnozolas, not the porous skin, like the whites have the pinkish porous skin. You can look right into their skin like, God, it looks like a topographical map or something. You grow some out with your porous skin over here, Whitey. The big nose, the big lips. Whitey's got the big pink lips, a lot of times big giant lips, big schnozola, big ears, big everything, big earlobes, big pores, big receding hairline, big forehead, big, even some of them have big schwanzes. Big, hunchback, big shoulders, big biceps, big guy, big toes, big toe hair, big first toe knuckle hair. These guys are big. The other guys are big. The other guys aren't big. The other guys aren't big. The other guys are big. It doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? These people were moving in. So whatever you would call it was successful people of color were displacing the old school whites that were phasing out. And the last, strangleholds, you would call it, when the white people are not willing to let go of their places where they had come to dominate by force. Now they're getting run out, they're getting drifted out, they're getting aged out, chronological, I don't know. A lot of darker people are moving in, a lot of whiter people are moving out. I don't know. It's what it's all about. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. There was some holdouts. Some people are like, I'm so old, I can't move now. There's no one. I have no one. There's no one. I don't have a daughter. I don't have a friend. The day they cart me out of here is the day they take me to my grave. So leave me alone. And then when the man, when he went down there and he visited his cousins on this, it turned out I thought it was private property. It was private property, but it was part of a homeowners association, which is a form of collectivism. I don't know if it's socialism, communism, but it's collectivism. So these, everybody had to pay into a certain system. That's how you got, they never built the flood wall. That's how you got a couple cheesy restaurants. One of the Yank massage parlors got taken out, and all the other guys were like, hey, you couldn't leave that alone? I mean, come on. Whatever, it's all right. Don't worry about it. Anyways, these guys patrolled the neighborhood. They kept it clean. They kept it wholesome. They kept it good. And way back in the old days, they kept it all white, which no one complained about. They're like, hey, keeps the real estate prices up. You know what I'm saying? Then some other people moved in, and you're like, well, these people, they all have money, so what does it matter? But yet it was still this influctuation of the darker skinned people moving into the whiter skinned enclaves, becoming enumerated higher, no more of them, everybody, than less of the whites. But it didn't matter because it's Sesame Street. And I'm like, yeah, thank God, it's Sesame Street. As I watched it, the man's like, he tried to tell his cousins, he's like, what are you, stupid? They're like, a whole bunch of black people and Mexicans, all kind of different people. They said this is what really captivated it for the man. They encapsulated it for the man. The man was like, what are you telling me? You're against the minorities? No, they're like, no. We used to go to our grocery store. We could understand everything everybody said. Now we can only understand what 25% of people say. 75% of people are speaking a different language than we speak at our grocery store. So you want to tell me what's going on here? I mean, I'm not even trying to convey. Here's the one thing. The man got kind of mad. He's like, he looked at his cousins. He said, I think you're doing a white flight. You're afraid you're having white flight. But I'm going to say this much, even the white people around here, they speak a foreign language. There's no whites that speak English. Even the whites are speaking different languages than what I'm speaking. The man told his cousins. He's like, maybe it's time you bail out. They're like, no, we're staying here. This is our stronghold. This is a bastion of what it was in the day, and we're not giving up on it. This is what we're going to become. But anyways, as the man would kind of be hanging out at the pool, this little old white lady would go, sir, excuse me. And he'd be like trying to ignore it because he knew this little old white lady was trying to come up to him and say, hey, what's the thing? I have to have this help. I got to pay for my parking. I don't get it. And the man was like, wait, how long have you lived here? You don't get it. What, do you have senility today? You couldn't remember how to pay for your parking? Some man would step over there and help pay for the parking. You help the white lady. And a lot of times the white lady's like, okay, thank you. You helped. Good. Now get away. Sometimes it's like, hey, help me with the next step. And the man's like, okay, you get one this step, the next step, and one last step, and then I'm leaving. I'm going to lay on the beach. But anyways, slowly but surely in the third step, what happens is the man, because he's a virile 57, 58-year-old man, he was helping these little old white ladies what were the last bastions of the old times before the degentrification, the regentrification occurred. These little old white ladies like, hey, dude, hey. These little old white ladies like, hey, wait, hey, big guy, hey. Like, hey, can you help me figure out here how to pay for the parking? Or sometimes a little old white lady should be like, hey, come here. Hey, sir, come here. Whatever. Come over here for a sec. Can you help me figure out how to put some money on my laundry cart so I can go do some laundry over there in the communal laundromat on my floor in my apartment complex? And the man, he'd be like, hey, honey, don't worry about it. I'll have it. I got it covered. It's a little tricky. What you got to remember, there's these funny arrows. It's not really what you would have said. AI didn't exist when they designed this thing. This thing is not what you would say user-friendly. But look here, see the arrow? Point the arrow, hit the green button, put your credit card in. Best thing you can do, he said to the old bitty lady, says, put your credit card in now. They'll figure it out from there. Don't worry about it. She's like, well, I don't want to get robbed. He's like, hey, but listen, you ain't going to get robbed by much. Maybe it's, whatever. It doesn't matter. But these women, these old ladies, they're calling them over saying, could you help us, Whitey? Because they're like, it's so degentrified. There's so much diversity. It's like Sesame Street. I'm a young, stupid man. So I was like, and I'm quoting the man, I'm a young, stupid dog. I'm quoting the man when the man said, I'm a young stupid man. I remember watching Sesame Street. I'm a young stupid dog. I remember watching Sesame Street. But anyway, Sesame Street prepared you for this thing. But these little old ladies, they were from a white world dominated by white people. They moved down here. It was all whites back then. Now it's getting reclassified, reclassified. That way, these little ladies, you got to have somebody going over saying, hey, little old lady, white, don't worry about it. There's a couple of us left. There's a couple of white guys. We're patrolling. We're walking around. Don't worry about it. We're going to be there for you at the kiosks where you get your laundry card money, or maybe when you get your, parking. What else do the old ladies need? Maybe sometimes they're like, can I get an Uber? They're like, we're going to get you an Uber to the old folks home. Don't get an Uber. Don't try to get an Uber. That's right. Don't think about getting an Uber because they're going to take you to the old folks home because you're so old and decrepit. But what I'm trying to say here is that there was this thing when the man went down to his cousin's house in South Florida, like 25 minutes, beautifully by maybe 17, 8 minutes from, just south of Miami. If they hit all the lights and it was a low traffic morning or something, 26, 28, 30 minutes by, whatever, average car travel. You get down there below Miami, right on the ocean. I mean, he owned the ocean, big giant, big thing too. Like you could put a restaurant and a hotel right in this plot of land this guy owned. Big, broad piece of land, underused land, like just flowing, cascading land. Big swaths of beach, rock outcroppings, the whole thing. Like, I think they said it was like 1,500 feet of beach property laterally, and he owned like 72 feet out into the ocean at low tide. So it's like 180 feet at high tide. You don't even want to talk about how much of the ocean this guy owned. But they were capital poor, they were money poor, they were land poor, they couldn't pay their taxes. And what happened was they were getting phased out because they hadn't built it up high enough so they could stay there. And some other people had been more successful economically, who happened to be typically people of color. They're moving in, the other people moving out. And what happened with the man, because he'd be down there visiting his cousins, he started helping all the old ladies at the kiosks, helping them with their parking and processing their credit cards to get their laundry tickets. And they started saying, hey, whitey. They called him white guy. And at some point, he became white guy. The little old ladies that morphed from there trying to get some help to pay for their laundry ticket or their other things, they would call me, hey, whitey. Oh, yeah, white guy. They picture the white guy coming. They see a white guy finally. They like flag the white guy over. Little old ladies, little white ladies. They're like, hey, white guy. They start saying, hey, where's the white guy? The old lady couldn't figure out what happened to her keys. She lost her keys. She's standing like a monks on the side of the road. She's like, call the white guy. They would shoot this laser up. It made a symbol on the clouds in Florida, and the white guy symbol. Eventually, that's what it morphed into. But right then, this is just the point where these little old ladies kept saying, who's going to help us? My husband's dead. He left me enough money to survive, but he left me in an area of the country that's degenerating into a regenerated complex. And they're like, hey, I'm just a little white lady who used to know what it was like in the old days. Now I'm hearing this, Sesame Street kind of climate of diversity. I don't even know what's going on. Where's the white guy to help me? And then, so the man, while he was visiting his cousins, he became a superhero who was entitled White Guy. He went by the name, superhero name was White Guy. The white guy. The white guy. Hey, the white guy. Who's going to help us? Over here. The white guy. There's the white guy. Hey, how do you get to this place over here, the white guy? And sometimes the white guys would ask the white guys questions. Sometimes it was the other way around. Everyone was welcome to ask the white guy the questions, but typically it was little old ladies whose husbands had died. Their children gave a shit about them, or maybe they were in drug rehab or something. These little white ladies owned some nice pieces of property down there in Florida. They were the last few white people hanging on, the old white ladies. And the white guy, the man, he'd go down there, and at some point he morphed from the man, which he was always the man, and I'm always the dog. But the man became a superhero denoted by the little old white ladies as the white guy. The most interesting thing was, at one point, the man had an interaction with what I believe was a Jamaican or Haitian. This guy was black as coal, and the man's sidekick became jet black. So the third step is really trying to introduce at some point in the ramblings how the man became the superhero, the white guy, and his sidekick, which will be in step 4, step 5. I don't know if it's step 6. His superhero friend, like Robin the Batman, became Jet Black. And this will eventually morph into the escapades and the challenges, the crimes and the misdemeanors and the high treasons of the white guy and his ever-present, backup artist, the guy who was always there to pick him up when he was down, Jet Black. The superhero, he tried to get a cape. No one would give him a cape. No one said you get a cape. You're just the white guy. You're helping ladies at kiosks. You don't need, and plus you got Jet Black. Jet Black would roll up in like a killer van, all plush there with plush carpet on the inside. Jet Black was like, hey man, I got some fine weed in here, and all the chicks dig my 8-track. So what are you trying to talk about? And the man, the white man, the white guy, be like, hey, wait a second, no, that's what we do at sundown. This is not yet sundown. But anyways, it was the white guy and Jet Black who, don't worry about it. This was the 3rd step on the Florida Odyssey.